So I got a great question from a subscriber, and I love that more and more people are sort of really digging into what I have to say on this channel. Um, it just means a lot that they're sort of peeling back and going, "Hey, you recommend this, but in your story you say you did that. What gives? Why are you in theory, why are you talking out both sides of your mouth, right? I'm going to call you on it and see how you respond." So I love that because you should do that. So this is the main question is, now, Zuber, you're recommending conservative financing, right? Lots of places I talk about putting 30% down even if a bank wants to loan you 80%, right? 30% or more. Really depends on your risk preference, right? So, but if you've heard our story, right, it all begins with that first house on Norris Drive where I put 20% down. And then if you've heard the story continue, the next couple of houses, I only put 10% down. What gives, right? Why? And then you tell us about this growth and all this stuff, and you're only putting 10% down, but now you're telling me to put 30 or 40. I don't get it. See, something's off. Why? So a couple of things. So first, you have to remember that I was buying what I now call the wrong kind of property. I was buying the cheap, well-used property that needed work, right? I've done several videos on this, sort of the cheap properties versus pride of ownership. So while it may appear on paper, I'm putting a little bit down, right? 10 or 20%, depending on which house you want to talk about. I, in reality, burned through a lot more cash because I had to spend, in most cases of those first 8, somewhere between 20 and, I don't know, let's call it $40,000 in extra cash getting that property up. So in theory, right, just rough math, a property that was worth 200 grand, I bought for 150 because it was destroyed and run down and all of that. But I felt like a genius, right? In theory, it was like buying penny stocks, right? In theory, I bought a $200,000 house for 150, not realizing, or at least I guess I realized, I just didn't understand the impact back then that having to put another 30 or 40 grand in would do to my cash position. So in reality, I took out, if you did a 10% loan at 150, I took out 135K in debt. I put 15 down and I put 35 grand in. And, that's, I don't know, $50,000. So in essence, I really put $50,000 down on a 200K asset, which is really more like 25% down. So, that's important. That is certainly a change from when I started, right? I was so enamored with the cheapest property on the MLS. I mean, realtors were making jokes about me, right? When they saw a listing come on, oh, Zuber's going to make an offer on that one. And most of the time they were right because I just didn't know any better. So that's the one big change. In reality, yeah, I put 10% down and I'm recommending putting 30. But if you really appreciate what was happening after I bought, you'll see that I was putting a lot more cash out there than maybe it you think about as far as a down payment, right? But if you want to buy cheap properties and then suffer the cash hit like I did, put less down because your ARV or after repair value is going to be higher, and maybe you have some equity or sweat equity that you can go borrow against in 6 or 9 months. So that's that discussion. The other thing I realized is when I started, we hadn't gone through the crash yet, right? We started in 03, and we got out at the peak. It was pure luck. I'm not here to tell you anything else. We got out simply because we couldn't buy anything. So we moved all of our houses into apartments, and then the crash happened. And we saw lots of people who had similar house portfolios we did lose it all because they couldn't afford to fund them. They created alligator properties. And again, an alligator property is a negative cash flow property. And my experience watching people suffer so much is I never wanted to finance a property with only 10% down. I want to create security. I want to be able to hold for the long term. I saw people who had 10% equity lose it all. I wouldn't do that again. Yes, I started buying stuff in '03 with 10% down. I would never do that again. After watching people who were worth, on paper anyway, $10 million, having hundreds of units, lose every single one of them, because what happened is, they bought a property for 200, it went up to 280, the market crashed and it went to 90. They just walked away, right? Strategic default, I think they were called. And it was a terrible experience. That time it's sort of like the depression for me. I'll never forget some of those conversations I had, and I will never put 10% down on a property again. Even today, if I'm not paying cash, right? If I go do a commercial building or something of that nature, I'm putting 50% down. I haven't bought anything in, I want to be accurate, 4 years with less than 50% down. That's all I do now. 50% or own it free and clear. That's just where I am. That experience in '08 will never go away. So in reality, that's the answer to that question, right? I, out of the gate, I really did put more down. It was just split differently. But the experience of '08 really gets the experience. And I want to be able to hold forever. I want my investors who follow me to be able to hold forever. So yes, I recommend putting a little bit more down. It does slow the growth a little bit more. But the beauty is, if the market turns on you, or your city turns on you, or your metro, you're going to be able to hold and be comfortable. So that's the answer to that question. Hope that helps. Feel free to leave a comment if you think I missed anything. Really appreciate it.